You can't really, one of those lessons was that you can't really create fundamental change in someone's life unless you change the way they think about their lives. So I started to think about all of these gestures of charity that I was doing were not really sustainable. They were emotional. They made me feel good and temporarily made somebody else feel good. But for long term, I started to think about what can I do? The only way to change poverty is through education. I made a lot of mistakes based on emotional giving. I tried to, when I first came to Chicago, I started my own Boys and Girls Club, taking young girls out of the inner city projects and trying to help them. I, at one point, was going to remove all of the, as many families as I could from the projects, and realized I had taken a family out. It's a funny story. I had taken a family out and was following one of the little boys. I got a notice from his school that he wasn't going to school, so I went to the home to say, "Why aren't you going to school?" And he said, "We be trying to get up every morning. We be trying, but we can't." And I said, "Why aren't you going to school?" Well, he says, we wait on the baby to wake up, and sometimes the baby doesn't wake up, and so then we're all late for school." And I said, "Well, what time do you set your alarm?" And he didn't know what an alarm was because they didn't have an alarm clock. So then I thought, well, my goodness, you can't really, one of those lessons was that you can't really create fundamental change in someone's life unless you change the way they think about their lives. I realized that the only way to create long-term empowerment, long-term improvement and empowerment, and literally change the trajectory of somebody's life is through education. And you have to remove them from the environment, because I'd already had a program with young girls in the inner city and had failed because I couldn't take them out of the environment and didn't have the infrastructure. So the school for me was the way in, because I knew that education, taking a child out of their village, creating an environment for them where they have aspiration and can feel the spirit of themselves. And so the decision comes from how am I going to be able to long-term create a difference in this person's life? That always, for me, comes back to education, because I know what it did for me. So I have a real strong charge with that, a real passion for that. And I think that for anybody who's in the business of developing their philanthropic reach in the world, it has to start with what you are most passionate about. What you give comes from how you want to give and also how you've been given to. So for me, I'm passionate about education. That wherever you are in your life, whatever space you hold, whatever your status is, you have the power to give back from where you are and to use your life, because that's what all of our lives are for, to use your life as a force for something that is bigger than yourself.